Hello, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's rant is going to be about regrets. We all have regrets, and, regrets can really weigh heavy on us, especially, when we feel like we should have done things differently. And, I have a lot of regrets, but, I try not to regret things because logically speaking, regretting things, it doesn't fix the fact that it happened. If I regret something, the fact that it happens or happened is still there, Me regretting it doesn't stop it from happening. So, regretting things, it doesn't really do anything. So I've been trying really hard to not regret things. One of the best things that I've tried to do instead of regretting things is I look at the situation, I think, hey, look, I made this decision, I did this, I said this. Maybe next time, instead of doing this and saying this and acting this way, I can instead try this, not say this, and do this, It's about learning from your mistakes when it comes to that. That's way more efficient and that's way more productive than, regretting things that you can't fucking change, If I went through a breakup with a friend and we both said horrible things to each other and, we stopped being friends, if I sit here and think of all the horrible things I said to my best friend or my friend or whatever, it's not going to change the fact that I said those things to that friend. That still happened. That fallout of the friendship, or maybe it was a girlfriend. We got into a fight and broke up. That stuff still happened. So beating yourself up about things that happened in your life, that's not going to do anything. And people know that, People aren't stupid. People know that. But sometimes it's really hard for them to move on when, they've been accustomed so much to just hold on and, regret things. And, I think a lot of it comes from not wanting to move on, and I think I've pretty much made a topic about that. But, moving on is a huge part of regrets and stuff like that. And you're more likely to regret something if you can't move on. So, learning from your past is such a really good tool because, when you learn from your past, you're less likely to make mistakes. If you pay attention to what you're saying, you pay attention to what you're doing, when you're aware of your surroundings, and you're thinking, there's a saying, think before you speak. And that's such a powerful saying because when you think before you speak, you're less likely to say things that you're going to regret. But, I can say this to people and I can say, you got to not regret. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to watch what you say. All that stuff's well and good. But theoretically, how many people are going to take that advice? I feel like people know this stuff. Generally people know this stuff, but a lot of the time they just don't want to apply it to their own life. You're speaking to the choir a lot of the time, People know what they have to do to get better. People aren't stupid. A lot of the time, people know exactly what they need to do in their life to improve themselves. And a lot of the time, it's just the lack of doing. So, yeah, regretting stuff for me has been a waste of time, Recently, I was talking to somebody online and, we got into an argument and she said it's not going to work out or whatever. And I said, okay, who gives a shit? Bye. And I stopped talking to her. And it took me an hour or two, but I looked back on our conversation and I can see that I was a little bit overreactive or I said things that I shouldn't have said. And, I wanted to regret it. I should have probably approached it a little bit differently looking back, or I could have said some things a little bit different. But we're not friends anymore, and it didn't work out, and I said certain things, and me sitting here, like I said, complaining and, beating myself up over it, that was a tongue twister. it's not going to do nothing. So for myself, I really just have to look at it and realize, look, I was under a lot of pressure. I was under a lot of stress. Maybe I need to look at that differently next time, instead of saying this or accusing of this, because I think one of the things she said was she doesn't want to talk about something, and she was kind of talking about it, and I felt like she was kind of being bitchy to me. But, if someone doesn't want to talk about something, I know better than that. I should not I wasn't forcing her, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like a bitchy vibe from her. But, things happen. She had her own problems, but I don't want to make this about that, But, sometimes we have regrets, and it's okay if you want to have regrets, but I'm just making this because I would rather, not regret things and learn from them. But not everyone's going to do that. Some people are still going to regret things regardless. So, do whatever works for you. If regretting stuff works for you, then I say do it. If that's what you want to do, then go right ahead and do it. But anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rant. Signing out. Have a good one, guys.